As missiles rain over Tel Aviv and Israeli tanks gather at the Gaza border, a desperate plea rings out from an unexpected source: Saudi Arabia. In a series of urgent warnings to the United States, the kingdom has made it clear that an Israeli ground invasion of Gaza could ignite regional chaos. With tensions at a boiling point, Saudi leaders warned that they are prepared to take matters into their own hands if Israel launches an all-out assault. As the White House scrambles to prevent an imminent conflict, Saudi Arabia's stark threats reveal just how precarious the situation has become. The kingdom's bold stance casts new light on its rapidly evolving priorities in the Middle East power struggle. While the US treads carefully in affirming Israel's right to self-defense, Saudi Arabia draws a red line, daring its American allies to stop Israel's forces before it's too late. Senator Richard Blumenthal, a Democrat from Connecticut and a member of the Armed Services Committee, was among the 10 senators who met with Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman in Riyadh. He emphasized the destructive nature of a ground invasion, echoing the concerns voiced by Saudi officials. According to insiders, senior Saudi officials have conveyed even stronger warnings in multiple conversations with American counterparts, fearing that a ground invasion could have catastrophic repercussions for the entire region. These discussions unfolded as tensions extended beyond the Gaza Strip, with Israel responding to attacks by Hamas, the militant Palestinian organization that controls Gaza. The situation in Gaza has become increasingly dire, with essentials like fuel and water in short supply. It's clear that the Saudis strongly opposed an Israeli attack on Gaza due to the sensitivity of the situation, as per an anonymous Biden administration official, a Saudi official, and another individual knowledgeable about the Saudi warnings. The United States has consistently affirmed Israel's right to self-defense, but there have been efforts to delay the Israeli attack for various reasons. President Biden pushed for the postponement to allow more time for hostage negotiations, increase humanitarian aid to Gaza, and refine the overall war strategy. Additionally, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is reportedly cautious about a full-scale invasion. Crown Prince Mohammed and President Biden have agreed to pursue broader diplomatic efforts to maintain stability in the region and prevent the conflict from escalating. This call for diplomatic efforts was made in a statement released by the White House this week, although it did not mention previous discussions about a ground invasion. Prince Mohammed and President Biden recently reconciled after a period of intensely tense relations over the exploration of a possible agreement in which Saudi Arabia would recognize Israel and establish diplomatic connections. The prospect of such an agreement has sparked great enthusiasm among prominent advisors to President Biden, who believe that it could transform the entire Middle East. However, they also acknowledge the numerous challenges involved in diplomacy. For an extended period, some Arab administrations, including Saudi Arabia, had declined to establish diplomatic ties with Israel, insisting on the establishment of a Palestinian state as a prerequisite. However, over the last decade, there has been a notable shift in this stance. Autocratic leaders in the region have recognized the potential security and economic advantages of a relationship with Israel, as well as the benefits they could receive from the United States in exchange. This shift was formalized in the Abraham Accords, a groundbreaking agreement mediated by the Trump administration, involving countries like Bahrain and Morocco. These nations opted to establish diplomatic relations with Israel, sealing a significant shift in the traditional geopolitical landscape. It's a testament to the changing dynamics of diplomacy in the Middle East. Notably, in 2020, the United Arab Emirates and Bahrain established diplomatic relations with Israel, a move that stirred significant controversy. The Palestinian cause remains a powerful rallying point in the region, and over time, these treaties became increasingly unpopular. The situation was exacerbated by the Israeli government's shift towards the political right and its expansion of settlements in the West Bank. In contrast to the discussions surrounding those previous agreements during the Trump administration, the Biden administration's talks with Saudi Arabia were more extensive and nuanced from the beginning. Saudi officials made it clear that they would consider normalizing relations with Israel if the United States offered certain benefits. These benefits included increased U.S. arms sales, the establishment of a mutual defense pact between the two countries, and American support for a Saudi civilian nuclear program. Additionally, American and Saudi officials engaged in discussions about potential Israeli concessions to the Palestinians. However, in a recent interview with Fox News, Crown Prince Mohammed seemed to suggest that achieving Palestinian statehood would be a formidable challenge. The ongoing conflict in the region has exacted a heavy toll, with the identities of 6,747 individuals who have lost their lives since the conflict's inception, disclosed by Gaza's health ministry. Furthermore, 281 bodies remain unidentified, underscoring the human cost of the ongoing strife. Throughout the Middle East, angry protesters have taken to the streets to condemn Israel and the United States, expressing their solidarity with the Palestinian people. They're demanding a ceasefire and decrying Israel's blockade. Amid these developments, Saudi officials have been actively working to uphold their country's national narrative. Senator Lindsey Graham from South Carolina, who played a role in organizing the meetings, along with Mr. Blumenthal, revealed that Prince Mohammed and other Saudi officials conveyed a stern warning during their interactions with the Senate delegation. Their message revolved around the recent Hamas attack on Israel. Mr. Graham stated that while the prince acknowledged the act of terror, he sought a measured response, one that wouldn't escalate the conflict further. Experts cautioned that any attempts to dismantle Hamas, as Israel pledged to do, might fuel more radicalism and violence. It could also intensify the sense of oppression among Palestinians living under Israeli rule. Furthermore, an invasion could lead to instability in neighboring nations, particularly Egypt and Jordan. These governments were already grappling with economic hardships and political repression, making the situation more fragile. Notably, Iran historically supported Hamas, and the reaction of Iran-backed anti-Israel regional militias depended on Israel's military response. They vowed to open new fronts in the ongoing conflict, and Saudi Arabia could be a potential target. Throughout the conflict, Saudi authorities remained steadfast in their support for the establishment of a Palestinian state with Jerusalem as its capital. They called for a meaningful peace process between Israel and the Palestinians. Saudi Foreign Minister Prince Faisal bin Farhan emphasized the importance of addressing historical hurdles and obstacles to establish lasting peace and stability in the region. Surprisingly, despite the escalated bloodshed, both American and Saudi leaders held on to the hope of normalizing relations with Israel. This move was seen as a means to counter Iran, Saudi Arabia's most significant adversary in the region. While the prospects of Saudi-Israel normalization seemed distant before Israel concluded its operation, Prince Mohammed and President Biden emphasized the importance of working toward a permanent peace between Israel and the Palestinians once the situations calmed down. Saudi officials, however, refrained from mentioning the establishment of a Palestinian state in their statements. Still, there were indications of a possible agreement being negotiated that would grant Palestinians the right to establish their state. Prince Mohammed recognized that controlling public sentiment in Saudi Arabia, with strong anti-Israel feelings and widespread support for this Palestinian cause, was crucial. He framed closer connections with Israel as a way to secure more rights for Palestinians. Although current diplomatic efforts focused on an immediate crisis, the long-term goal remained a stable, prosperous, and integrated Middle East, including normalization and a two-state solution. The State Department assured its commitment to this vision. Before the recent Hamas attacks, American officials and experts claimed that U.S.-Saudi negotiations primarily centered around U.S. security needs for Saudi Arabia, with Palestinian issue receiving limited attention. Thank you for joining us in today's video. Your likes and subscriptions help us keep you updated. Stay tuned for more informative content, and we'll see you soon.